I grew up thinking that I was of Austrian descent because my father was very proud of the fact that his father had served in the army of Emperor Franz Josef. And they came to America where my grandfather was a coal miner. My father was born, and he was their American baby who was never allowed to learn German or Slovene or any language but English. So I was working in New York for a television station, and a friend of mine wanted to introduce me to the Austrian ambassador as a famous Austrian-American journalist. So I went to the big fancy party at the embassy, and the ambassador turns to me and says, "What part of Austria is your family from?" And I said, "Oh, a small town near Ljubljana." And he laughed and he said, "You're not Austrian, you're Slovene." So immediately I went to work as a detective and tried to figure out what was going on with the Anzur side of the family. And it's quite a fascinating story of a family that left Slovenia in 1911 and went to America to seek their fortune. And my dad became the first person in the family to go to college. And my son has become the first person in the family with an advanced degree with his PhD. And so we feel like our Slovene ancestors would be proud. We came on a family trip in 2009, and I made all the mistakes that people make when they start looking for their ancestry in Slovenia. I didn't really have all the facts. I didn't have any documents. I just knew something about Kresnice. And so we got in the car and we drove there, and we saw this agricultural river valley that was so beautiful. And I'm looking around saying, why did they leave this beautiful place? It was raining. We didn't have any real information, so the church was closed. We saw some Anzurs and Mohar names in the graveyard, but we weren't really sure which ones were our relatives. So we left kind of disappointed. So several years later, my son was looking to complete his master's and PhD in Europe, and we were looking into the possibility of getting citizenship in the EU for my son. And so we had to get more serious about our research, and that's when we started to discover the documents. And now we're beginning to trace it back even farther back into the history. I'm so proud of it. I put it on my Facebook page that I'm a citizen of both countries, and I'm very excited about voting in the elections. I've already voted my ballot in the European Parliament elections. I voted in the last election for the government. And the politics for me is so crazy because in the United States we have only two parties. And here I had to do a lot of research because there's so many parties. I did a blog about going to the open house day and meeting President Pahor. And that was so exciting that most Slovenes didn't even know they could do this. And I recently did a blog about the free tour that they give at the National Assembly. You can go inside the building and see the art. And I love discovering these things that are the benefits of being a citizen here. Coming from Los Angeles, there's a huge contrast with the people. In Los Angeles, you have to do everything in the car, and you never see your friends for coffee or anything because it's a drive of 2 hours each way to have a cup of coffee for 15 minutes. So as a result, you just don't see anyone. Here in Slovenia, when a friend says, "Let's go for coffee," I live in the center of Ljubljana, I walk outside my door, and I have coffee. So I find that it's easier than I expected to get to know people here because there's this coffee culture where you sit down and you really get to know the person. Whereas in Los Angeles, everyone's living in their cars, and it's just a change for the better, I think, coming to Slovenia. I love the consciousness about the environment in Slovenia. They're conscious of, I actually enjoy separating my trash when I'm here. It's weirdly fun. In America, we just throw everything away and we don't even think about it. And I hope that Slovenes will continue to safeguard this beautiful environment that they have, not only in the nature, but also in the city. And I love that the food here is fresh. I love that I can go to the farmer's market every day and get something fresh from the farm, and no preservatives, no chemicals. The lifestyle here isn't, it's not something weird that people choose. It's the normal life here, to be very conscious of natural things and fresh food.